Hey guys, what's going on? Tennessee.Frank here, and we're going to take a look at another radio that I picked up. It's going to be a Radtel, and it's the RT4D. It is a DMR radio. Right now, today and tomorrow, as this video is being recorded, Amazon has these on sale for 40 bucks. For a DMR radio, you cannot beat that. That is an awesome price. Of course, you see I do have it set up with the SMA to BNC connector. Makes it real easy to swap your antennas out if you want to put a longer antenna on for better range. I did turn the screen brightness down on this so it'll show up on camera a bit better. But you can see right here I do have 3 of our work channels put in here. I use these at work, and plus we do have my DPS channels that I like to scan. I have some repeaters in here. I have some digital channels in here as well, which you can see as we go through here. And got a bunch of analog repeaters too. This radio will do analog and digital, which is real handy. But we can go ahead and let me get over to one of our analog channels. Like here's a 2-meter calling. And I'm going to go ahead, I'll turn this one on. Of course the screen's going to be bright. That is going to be channel 9. So we'll go ahead 0009. And you can see it's coming through both directions. See, so it's working there. And then if we go to our digital, which let's go to, we'll go to the first one there. That's channel 14. Channel 14. See, it's coming through there. You can see the bar at the top. I'll turn it up a little so you can hear it. But yeah, check 1 2 check. And you hear there is a delay there. That's something with these digitals. You do get a bit of a delay when you're going digital mode. But all in all, it's a nice little radio. I do have a couple of the side keys set up. I got it short press. That's going to give us our weather. And then I do have our FM radio. And then long press I got for scan. So we'll let it start scanning. You can hear this. There's DPS coming through. Of course, inside here it's not as good. But yeah, I mean, all in all, these are decent little radios for the money. I wanted to get into DMR, but a lot of the radios are just so pricey. It makes it real hard to get into an entry-level radio. Another thing, a lot of the radios, since I run Linux, a lot of them would not connect under Wine. I had a Baofeng 1701, it would not connect. I had another, trying to think what it was. I sent it back to it, it wouldn't connect. I downloaded the CPS for one of the Anytone 168s. It didn't see it. I couldn't open the CPS. So this is one that I have found that's got a good price point, and it actually works with my system. The cool thing, we'll pull up my 900s here, which these are nice radios too. We'll go ahead and turn this guy on. You see we're on work 1. Let me turn this back on, and we'll go to work 1 on this channel, which I believe is 001. Yeah, but you can see it comes through either way. Yeah, analog. Oop, there's a little squeaky. But here's the thing. I'm going to go to a digital channel. Let me find a digital channel. This is something that I thought was really interesting. Let's get to let's get all the way back because I got to scroll through the way I got channels set up. Here's digital here. It's 145.510. So I'm going to go here and go 145.510. Okay, now we're in VFO. We're on the same frequency, but listen. Let me turn this up. Well, it's not going through. Hang on, 145. Yeah, that's transmitting. There it is. It took it a second. Hear that? That's your digital. That's what you, if you got an analog radio, that's what you're going to hear if you hear a digital transmission with one of these radios. So if you can program these and do a simplex on a digital, anybody with an analog is not going to be able to hear what you're saying, which gives you a little bit of a layer of security, which is another reason I wanted to go digital. Not everybody's got digital, and they're not running DMRs. So all these people with running around with their analogs, if they hit your frequency, that's all they're going to hear. They're going to hear that little machine gun sound. So they're not going to know what you're saying. But if you got your radio like you saw when I was doing digital to digital, it comes through. So people can hear what you're talking about. But real quick, let's just see what's in the box. Get a pretty good sized box. And this is the one I got today, so everything's still pretty much intact. You get a little manual. There's not a lot in the manual, but there's a lot of stuff online you can look up. You do get your little fancy little wrist strap there that nobody ever uses. You get your antenna, which I don't really use these. They do give you a charging cradle, and it is USB-C, which I like. You get your USB-C cable, and you get your little USB-C block. So with these three together, you can charge the radio from the cradle, or if you want, you can just go ahead and plug that in. And the radio does have a port on the radio, which I prefer it on the battery, but hey, on the radio right here to plug in and charge. Plus, this does take a standard K1 connector. However, I noticed that if you got the FTDI cable, the one that's got the built-in chip, it doesn't connect with these radios. You've got to use like the older, like the Baofeng cables or something without that fancy chip. And then it connects fine. I'm using actually my TalkPod A36 Plus cable, and it connects just fine, no problems at all. But yeah, like you always see, I always go 1 is none, 2 is 1, and 3 is always better. But yeah, for 50 bucks normal, or $40 today and tomorrow on Amazon for their Prime Day, these are hard little radios to beat if you want to get into DMR. But we'll go ahead. Let me zip over to the screen on the computer and show you the code plug on that, just to kind of get you familiar with what the CPS looks like and what a code plug is going to look like for these radios, because it is a little bit different than the analog radios. So we'll be back in just a second. Here we are in the code plug. I got it installed using their software, which is running under wine. It actually runs pretty good under wine. There's a couple little things like the up-down arrows here, if you see on this side of the screen. You don't really have an up or a down. It's just squares, but I figured it out. But here's some of the channels I have in. I got some work channels that I put in, and you can see we got the CTCSS codes installed and everything. Then we come down, and I got some of my ham channels, and these are just analog channels. So I mean, it's real straightforward. It's basically like programming about any other radio. Then we get to our digital channels, and these are digital simplex. Here's one that I have, and you see where it says scan add, I have it on remove because I don't want to scan this channel. And then you see I do have my lists and what the contact number is and everything. We'll get to that here in just a second. And then I do have some of the analog repeaters in here, which, like I said, is real straightforward. Like here's our local Tolleson repeater, CTCSS code and everything. So that's real simple. Then you get over to the digital repeaters. Here's one here I programmed in that's got the Arizona talk group in it. And you see it's in list 1 as well, just like the digital channels. And it's the KD4 IML Arizona. It's going to be time slot 2, color code 1. Of course, you go down to the KF6FM, and they're running that in color code 7, time slot 1. Of course, that's the Arizona channel there. But you can see you set up these zones, which it'll change over here hopefully in just a second. There we go. We got our digital zone, which you go digital, which I don't know why it added all that stuff. I guess maybe because I moved some stuff. But we don't need this in here. So you can remove stuff out of your zones. We don't really need this in our digital zone because these are analog channels. So you just go ahead and send that back over, just remove it. Here's a GMRS repeater I put in there, we don't need it. But these are going to be our digital channels. And then you do have your analog, which you can see here's all our analog channels here. Which that's the digital, we don't need it, we can remove it. Sometimes they do get a little bit mixed up for some reason, not sure why. But this is all supposed to just be analog. But it's real easy. You just go in here and you just hit remove. You know, it's very, very simple. You just color code the one you want to remove. Hit remove, and it takes them right out. See, so now we're back over to just our standard everyday analog stuff, which that's kind of a neat thing about zones. You can kind of separate it out. Contact lists, we can go look at contact lists over here as soon as it moves over. I think because I'm recording, it's slowing things down a little bit. They put an all call in here just as general purpose. It's just automatically there. Then I do have a group call under Digi. That's 99. That's for our simplex channels. And then for each repeater, I did a 3104. That's Arizona. 3100. That's US. With the KD4 IML, the US is a 3 instead of a 3100. And then Arizona's still 3104. And then they do have an Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas group that's a 2. And then I put in my 2 disconnect channels, one for each repeater. That's a 4000. And then we got our group lists, which we can move over back and look at. I do think I need to move some stuff over back to the group lists. Here's list 1. You see I got Digi included in that. That's all the simplex. And then I've added KF6FM, that repeater, Arizona and US. And then the KD4IML. We have Arizona, US, and then the tri-states. And then we got our disconnect. And all those get moved over to selected members. So, I mean, it takes a bit of doing to figure all this out. But it's not really that hard. It's just a different way of thinking over analog. And once you wrap your head around that, it's not too bad. You see here I do have our public safety. I got east, southwest, and central. There was no place in here to stop transmitting on those frequencies. And those are frequencies you don't want to transmit on. So what you end up doing is go to device, and then for range 1 lock type, receive only, and I put 460 to 461, and that covers those 4 channels. So I cannot transmit on those 4 channels. It's receive only, which makes it so it's legal. You don't want to transmit on those. but you got your power on configuration. This is where you'd add your pictures or anything that you want to do. Secret with that, we can go ahead and let me import a picture. We'll go ahead and let's get into our home, me, GMRS, and then go to radios, and then here's our radios, and then I got DMR info, and then see I have my bitmaps here for that. So let's say I want to do 6A. You open it and you see how large this is. It's not going to fit. You're not going to get it all on the screen. So you hit the little negative button here and you go ahead and shrink this down until it fits in that box. And now when you write it to the radio, it's going to be your screen. Of course, I got the startup tone turned off. I don't want none of that. You got all your configuration modes here you can go through. You know, your brightness, LCD timer, everything's right in here. I got it set. I want channel and alias, so I can see what channel and frequency I'm on, and then what the alias is. I got all those set on my groups. Yeah, it's just a little bit different. I mean, it's similar to analog, but there's different things you got to do. So I mean, it's not too bad. There's stuff here I don't really mess with. Automatic power off, I don't care about that. Messages, apparently somehow you can do SMS messages on these. I don't know if that's something they're going to get later. They do have DT, FM, or MF if you want to send a tone to a device to trigger it. FM radio, of course I got a couple of our local channels put in for the FM radio. We don't do encryption. We're not really allowed to do that. As far as keys, I do have a short press on FS1 for NOAA weather. I got long press FF1 to scan, and then short press FS2 for radio. I've not said anything for FS2 long press yet. I might do something later on. There may be something that I want to do. But right now, these three cover it. I got my NOAA, my FM, and my scanning. So yeah, this is just kind of a quick look around at the code plug, just to kind of show you what we're looking at here. And like I said, it's not really that difficult once you kind of wrap your head around digital and how it's done a little bit differently. But yeah, we'll get back over now to the tabletop, and let's take some more looks at the radio. Okay, I hope you found that kind of interesting. You see, there is kind of a bit of difference, but also just for size comparison, here's your ever popular UV5R. You can see this radio is not a lot bigger than the UV5R. It is a bit thicker, but this is supposed to have a 3,500 milliamp hour battery, which I don't know how they're doing that, because from what I understand, I think these are only what, 2,200, and you see how thick that battery is. Or if you look at this, we'll pop that battery out real quick. See, it is saying 3,500 milliamp. I don't know how they're doing that with this little thin battery, but apparently somehow they got it figured out. But yeah, I just wanted to do like a real quick little, just show you this radio, let you know it's out there if you're interested in DMR. So maybe you pick one of these up, give it a try. You never know. I mean, then you can always move up to something, you know, nicer if you like, or do like I did for the price point. These work just fine for me. I mean, I'm hitting the repeaters over here now, no problem at all. I actually made a contact the other day with a guy in Los Angeles, and that was going through 3104 Arizona. Apparently he was monitoring that, and I actually made a contact with him. He was in Los Angeles, which was kind of crazy that you get the range with these being connected through the interwebs and stuff. So, like I say, I hope you found this interesting. If you like my content, like, share, and subscribe. I'm getting close to 2,000 subscribers. I like to kind of hit 2K. I think that'd be kind of cool. So, like I always say, either we stand up for our rights, or we can sit by and watch them go away. You all have an awesome rest of the day. We'll talk to you later. Tennessee Frank out of here.